Greetings everyone and welcome to another video on Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. Today I want to talk about the Journey and Legendary characters because it was brought to my attention that we've doubled the amount in the last year compared to what we've had in, say this time 2018. We've had 2 new Journey characters and I think 3-ish or 4. Malik's kind of hard to count, but we've had a lot of new characters, and they've very much changed the meta. So I kind of wanted to talk about them, especially with Padme being done. I was not able to unlock Padme at 5 stars. Some of my guild was able to pull off really last-second clutch 7 stars, so good on them. But overall, I didn't feel like it was worth diverting the gear attention on them away from the double Revens that I'm working on. Both getting my Revan team, my light side Revan team ready for Arena and prepping for Darth Revan as I've started to work on the gear. And by extension then, Malik, who I'm unsure if I will be able to get the second time around. So I wanted to go over the Legendary and Journey characters. So the Journey characters are Commander Luke Skywalker, Jedi Knight Revan, Jedi Training Rey, and Darth Revan. And then the Legendary characters are Thrawn, Emperor Palpatine, Grandmaster Yoda, R2-D2, BB-8, C-3PO, Chewbacca, Padme, and I think that's it. I probably should have made a full list, but yeah, and I kind of wanted to go over which one is probably the most important to farm, depending on where you are. So let's start from a beginning standpoint. You're just getting started in the game, and you aren't really sure who to farm. My overall, absolute 100% you should go for this legendary first this Journey character first is Commander Luke Skywalker. And the reason isn't so much his position in the meta, although with the right composition he himself can be meta. The more important thing is that he provides a lot of other teams, because he has technically the biggest ladder to climb in order to unlock him. But if you strategize it correctly, you'll get several legendary characters that aren't necessarily mandated on the way, which gives you a much stronger roster. The point of this video is more roster power than okay, who's the meta, who's absolutely best. Because if you want who's absolutely best, get Darth Revan with Malik. That's unbeatable right now. If you can't get that, Jedi Knight Revan is the better option, because Darth Malik is not holding up well on defense without Malik, so Jedi Revan holds up better on defense. So for CLS, to unlock him, let's pull up Commander Luke Skywalker. So he is a 3 Zeta character. He is extraordinarily powerful, and he just dominates with Rebels. His current best team to bring is him, Raid Han, Chewbacca, C-3PO, and R2-D2. That can fight the current meta minus Malik. Now, to unlock him, you need Farm Boy Luke, Stormtrooper Han, Princess Leia, Old Ben, and R2-D2. R2-D2 is a legendary character. To unlock him, you need 5 Empire characters, and this is where things can get kind of interesting. If we look at the Empire faction, it's a pretty broad faction, and you've got a lot of options. However, these 2 are legendary characters, and they are by far the most important characters to have. Thrawn is still an excellent plug-and-play. He's lost some viability recently with the focus on interfaction strengths. So Thrawn used to just be the best plug-and-play because of his sheer control and the fact that his entire kit works very well with everyone else. So he is still an incredibly powerful character. I still plug him in wherever I feel like in most of my Territory Wars and Grand Arenas, which is probably the most important aspects of the game right now as far as resources go. So, Thrawn requires 5 Phoenix characters to unlock. Palpatine requires 5 Rebel characters to unlock. What do you know? Phoenix is all Rebels. So if you can get a team that unlocks Thrawn, you can unlock Palpatine at the same time. In fact, Palpatine's event is easier than Thrawn's event, so if you unlock Thrawn, you're guaranteed you'll have Palpatine. But Zeta-wise, they're both 2 Zeta characters, but Palpatine leads not only Empire, but he's also a very, very good Sith leader if you don't have Traya. He's the second best, and I still alternate between him with my 2/3 Triumvirate and Revan in my arena. So he is extremely worthwhile getting. And he is easy to get all the way to CLS. If you've got Thrawn or Palpatine, you can easily handle the R2-D2 event. It's not the most difficult. So unlocking them is a pretty straightforward on the way. It does mean you're gearing up more than the necessary characters initially to unlock CLS, but again, we're going on roster value, and Phoenix and a secondary Rebel team plus a very powerful Empire team or a Sith team. Like, you're unlocking so many things. Plus, you get a Jedi, which is needed for Yoda from Old Ben, and you'll gain 2 more out of Phoenix. So there's 2/3 of or that's 3/5 of Yoda right there, and Yoda is an extraordinarily important character. In fact, he's becoming more important recently with the rise of the Galactic Republic. He's already the core powerhouse of the what do you call it? Like, he's the core powerhouse of the Jedi Knight Revan team. He's the main DPS. So he is already very important. So overall, if you can unlock CLS and if you use this right, you will end up with several good teams that can be a really solid half of your grand arena, can help out in territory wars if you're not at like the super high end. Overall, very good characters to get. So if you're just starting off, CLS gives you the most bang for your buck. Now, to use CLS properly, he's good with any Rebel team, but he's best if you unlock Han from Raid Han and Chewie, 3PO, and R2. Now, you get R2 for unlocking him, so there's already one part of his team. A lot of people don't have 3PO, and I'm going to go over that at the end. With Han and Chewie and R2, he's pretty unstoppable. That can go toe-to-toe with a not-so-great R2 team, or a Jedi Knight Revan team, and it might actually be able to blow away a Malak team if you're lucky. Now, talking about the 5th character you might want to use in that situation, I recommend picking a taunting tank if you can. I think the only potential pre-taunter is Baze Malbus, and I don't have him, so I can't test that out too well, but like, that's the main weakness of this team, is they don't have a tank to concentrate fire, and if Chewbacca gets stunned, that really screws you over. Alright, on to the next most valuable journey character. We do have Jedi Knight Revan, and we're going to look at the Old Republic. I know I probably should have scrolled that down. So we're looking at the Old Republic because Revan only needs 5 characters to unlock, and he doesn't need any legendaries. That was a change with him. Now, what they did to make him valuable was just spring him on us with almost no warning. Now, when you unlock him, you need Bastila Shan, Jolee Bindo, Mission Val, Zalbar, and T3M4. So you get a whole Old Republic team. Although, if you have him, you'll be using Jolee and Bastila with him, so you won't have them for the Old Republic team. Plus, the good leader is Carth Onasi, but he's for the Darth Revan team. But if you're working on Jedi Revan, most likely you're working on Darth Revan too. So, the reason I say Jedi Revan is then your next best thing is his characters, for the most part, can be started to be farmed pretty early on. Missions and T3 are Cantina. Bastila and Jolee are the hard ones because they're double hard nodes. And Zalbar, I forget where you find him. Zalbar is a double hard node with a fleet and a light side, but not very far up. So 5 on him. Jolee was similar situation, so 6 dark side for him. Bastila is 2 on hard node and 5. So if you can get to 6, or 5 light, 6 hard, that should be all of them. Yeah, and T3 and mission. Yeah, so these guys can actually be farmed kind of early. But the thing is, without endgame resources, Revan can't shine. You need Zetas. Like, you just need you need his 3 Zetas, and you need Jolie's Zeta to really take the team off. Now, using him, you need him, Bastila and Jolie, and then Grandmaster Yoda and General Kenobi are the best options to pair with them, with those 3. So for him, you already get 2 of his team with him, and you can justify gearing them up for the event. One of the really big weaknesses for Darth Revan and Jedi Training Rey comes from the fact that some of their unlocked characters are just not worth it, especially on Jedi Training Rey. The 2 veterans, once Rey's unlocked, you don't really use them for much. Like, they're not great, their Zetas aren't great. So giving them any gear past the bare minimum, which usually is about gear 8 or 9, just kind of feels like a waste unless for some reason you're running a Han-free smuggling team. And then Revan, with that team, which only needs 1 other legendary character, which you, again, gain 2 more characters to unlock, or for some reason, if you unlock Revan before Yoda, like, you have 3 out of 4 with a great leader to unlock him with, so... yeah, so pretty much no reason you shouldn't have Yoda if you have Revan. So just 1 more legendary character, and then General Kenobi is a bit more difficult since he is a raid character, but at this point most guilds have the heroic AAT raid on farm. My guild has it done within 15 minutes usually. That's just because it can be a bit of a long fight. So, Revan's importance is the fact that he dominates the meta still. He can theoretically be beaten by Padme, more likely timed out, but a smart Revan with a human controller can beat Padme. So, he is technically the number 1 arena team as far as composition goes, and high arena ranks means lots of credits, or crystals. Crystals are the lifeblood of this game, so that is probably the most important thing. That's the 2 legendaries. I forgot the ships, Chimera and Han's Falcon. We'll talk about those at the end. So, yeah. He is, I'd say, more valuable than Darth Revan and Jedi Revan, or Darth Revan and Jedi Rey, because of just his sheer dominance in the meta still, even though he's been out 3 times now. He is just plain powerful. I like, the developers made him too damn strong, is as simple as that. The fact that Darth Revan had to have direct counters written into the kit for his team of this counters Jedi Revan directly is kind of crazy. So if you can get this team up and running, he is a monster in arena, and he's nearly unbeatable in Territory Wars and Grand Arena. Only Revan can really beat Revan, and that's a fact, and it's really painful sometimes. So, like, for example, the last Territory War, there was a wall of Revans protecting the other guild's ships. We never even touched it because we couldn't break through it. If you have a good Revan, that's a team that's really hard to beat. So his value in Grand Arena and Territory Wars is through the roof. If you're up against one, you want to save him for offense, but if you're against an opponent without him, setting in on defense is really big power play, because there are only about 3 teams right now that can beat him, and some of them are required to beat other teams. Like a full-powered, full legendary Commander Luke Skywalker can fight Jedi Revan and win. It's not guaranteed, which is the first scary part, and then CLS is also the main counter to a lot of other things, so if they've already used CLS, it could be game over. All right, so the other main thing is that this team is stronger than the Malak-less. Like, the no Malak Darth Revan team is weaker than Jedi Knight Revan. That is something that needs to be emphasized. And then, on with Malak, you need him for Malak, and you need his characters geared up. You need 4 or 5 out of the 6. So for the light side on Jedi Revan, you want to drop T3, you want Revan, his 2 Jedi, and then you want Mission and Zalabar, because those 2 are really high synergy. They're a bit underrated in my opinion, but they have been serving me quite well in Grand Arena lately as a B-rank team under Karth. So the Old Republic characters are very good. All right, next, we are actually going to then talk about Jedi training Rey and the Resistance. That's right, of the four journey characters, I have ranked Darth Revan as the lowest priority. So if you're end game, you should get CLS, then Jedi Revan, and then I would actually recommend Jedi training Rey over Darth Revan, because Darth Revan is purely a PvP character. So, to unlock Jedi training Rey, you need BB-8, Finn, Rey Scavenger, and Veteran Han and Chewie. Now, to get BB-8, you need First Order. So, you get the First Order geared up out of this, and they're a great Grand Arena and Territory War defensive team. They're excellent. Now, Jedi training Rey is a very hard counter to certain teams. Having a good Rey team with Rey, R2, BB-8, Finn, and your choice of another. Some people use C-3PO if you have him, although he's stronger, I think, with a CLS team. Same with R2. So that is kind of the weakness, is that Jedi training Rey's best characters are poached for CLS. But a good, strong, fully geared out Resistance team, Gear 12, is an A-rank team, I think, especially with the Finn rework really increasing his power overall. Rey Scavenger is squishy but hits like a truck. Holdo, while extremely hated lore-wise, is a very powerful tank, and Poe is very useful as well. So overall, you gain pretty much two good teams if you can gear up a couple extra Resistance on the side. You gain two good teams, a very good offensive team, and a good defensive team for Grand Arena and Territory Wars. Now, lastly, Darth Revan and the Sith Empire. So, firstly, the developers screwed up and nerfed Sith Assassin into the ground, so they killed their own team. Secondly, to unlock Darth Revan, you need Bastila Shan Fallen, HK-47, Carth Onasi, Canderous Ordo, and Juhani. Again, no legendaries, just some hard farms, except for HK-47. He has been in the game since almost the beginning, and he can be farmed up in the shop for Squad Arena. So he is pretty damn easy to farm. He's not the greatest on his own, so I don't recommend farming him first. I would still stick with what I said and get Leia and Stormtrooper Han. Probably your capital ship pilots after that. And then once you're kind of done with like the core characters, then do HK. Because Darth Revan is a very, very late game character. So with the main Darth Revan team right now is Malak, Darth Revan, Fallen, HK, and I think the most common one right now is Sith Trooper, just to have the double taunting tank. Because that is a nasty thing to come up against. But this team's all about offense. So this is purely an offensive team. You never see this team on defense. And then because of Malak, Sith Assassin actually got her viability just obliterated. Now, the primary use of this is to bust through other Revan teams, although without Malak, it has a very hard time holding up against them. That's why this is purely an offensive team. For example, if you're using in Squad Arena, you'd want to use it to bust up to wherever you want to go and then do one more round with a Jedi Revan team, because you're going to be a hell of a lot harder to beat. So overall, the reason this character is ranked some of the lowest is because, well, he's the hard, like some of his characters are some of the hardest to get, except for HK, and he's really just not as good as Jedi Revan. And you only get half a good team. You get Carth and Canderous, which is the last, typically your finishing touches on your Old Republic team, because Carth is the leader and Canderous is really good at killing tanks. So once they're done, after that you can, you'll have another good team. So if you get both Revans, which is what I'm working on, you get another good Grand Arena team, but that requires both, and both of them are a very heavy investment, because hard nodes galore. Only Canderous is Cantina for this group, and HK may be a Squad Arena, but he's just not high enough on the priorities list. Now, Malak. Malak is currently the king of the game. If you have Malak with Darth Revan, and you have to have Darth Revan to have Malak, so it's guaranteed, you cannot be beat except by a mirror match. And maybe Padme. But Padme was interesting because more people were prepared than I thought would be, but she was a very hard event. This is taking longer than I thought. So Malik requires 5 of 6 for both Jedi Revan and Darth Revan. They have to have 17,500 gear score, which means, or GP or whatever it is. So, for example, my 5-star Zeta Bastila, I'll admit I haven't fully finished her Force Bond thing, but that's a Darth Revan only thing, so it's really worthless unless you have him. I still need to get the stars on her, and then just barely she would have what I need to get her. HK, like he's, again, he would need his Zeta, because he's fully maxed out, and he's getting high up on gear. But basically what it's requiring is a massive, massive investment of Zetas, because you have to throw Zetas on some of these characters to get them over the list, unless you manage to deck them out in full 6E mods, which I guess you could do if you just do it for the event, borrow from your arena team or whatever, but there's a good chance a lot of these are your arena team. So, Malik is the ultimate winning character for now, but already has some counters built in from Padme. Without Malik, Darth Revan is probably the weakest of the things. So Malik is a ridiculously hard to acquire character. He's a really good long-term endgame goal, but we also have no idea how often he's going to be out. His event was only for 2 days. He was stupidly rare. Also, it's worth noting that Darth Revan and Darth Malik have some new gear that's really hard to farm right now. There's no easy way to get it. Like, it doesn't show up in shops except in fully formed 6,500 crystal form. So that's just kind of ridiculous. That's over $50 of crystals for one piece of gear. So the gearing them is hard too. You're definitely better off just dumping refreshes on it. Alright, so that's the journey characters. Let's talk the remaining legendary characters. So I'm going to consider Yoda, Thrawn, and Palpatine and done, because they're easy to gear up. Now let's talk Chewbacca. Chewbacca brought CLS back. Chewbacca needs bounty hunters. Now he was the first hard, and from now on we're going to call them arduous legendary. You could also argue that Malik is an arduous legendary, but I consider him a journey character for how hard he is to get, even if he unlocks it at tier 5. Once he is unlocked, by the way, you farm him up for 9,000 shard, or 9,000 guild event currency for 5 shards. So he is stupid expensive. I don't even know how people got the stuff to farm or to get him to 7 stars. Like, I literally don't know how they had all that in reserve, because I'm spending mine now that I've gotten Wampa and Hoda up. I'm using all mine to buy gear 12 plus or to buy gear 12. So, bounty hunters. I pulled it off with only 2 gear 12s. I pulled it off with the ones you're seeing now: Jango, Cad Bane, Bossk, Dengar, and Boba Fett under a Bossk Zeta lead. And Dengar I gave the Zeta to because that helps out very much in the event, keeping R2-D2 from putting people under stealth. It's the first arduous legendary, and it is hard. It's easier with Bossk. I cannot emphasize that enough. Bossk is just a hard node farm, a nasty hard node farm, but a hard node farm. Jango Fett also helps out a lot, and he has Houndstooth tied to his node, so he's good to farm as well. Boba Fett's easy to get, and he's a very solid bounty hunter. Cad Bane I found was the most helpful with his dispels, and then Dengar I think is a guild currency only. Yeah, Dengar has to be bought in the guild shop, so he takes a long time, but again, he came through. You need these guys at gear 12, and you need them at gear 12, gear 11. I got away with Cad Bane being a little lower, but he went in, he stunned Chewie, and he died, basically. It came down to triggering Bossk's contract to win, because once Bossk's contract was done, bam, everyone was pretty much invincible. So that's the first arduous legendary. Chewie is only really useful with Han Solo and on Jedi and Smuggler teams, but when he's on those teams, he makes them absolutely top tier. His damage and his assists are through the roof, and the fact that he protects certain characters with 2 Zetas that prevent some of the nasty debuffs from stuff like the Sith. Alright, so that is one simple team you get. Also, bounty hunters are great on defense for GA and territory wars, so again, You're gaining another good team, and you're taking your already really good team to another level where CLS becomes one of the top 5. All right, next up, we're going to talk about 3PO. Now, this is the second least popular legendary because these are what you need to unlock him. The Murder Bears, the Ewoks. And the best Ewoks are hard node farms, and a lot of people do not farm the Ewoks because they're not very good. Their synergy is actually pretty weak. They're a B rank Grand Arena defensive team. I can't even think of the last time I saw them used like a full squad in Territory Wars. I just saw people who gear 12 them for the event throw them in the back line. So, you do have more than 5 to choose from on the Ewoks, but here's the problem. The best ones are the hardest to get. I can't remember if it's Logray or Poplu, but one of them is a guild event store only, just like Dengar. Zeta-wise, you practically have to have Chief Chirpa's leadership Zeta to be competitive, because you need that turn meter. This is another arduous legendary, and oh my god, is it painful. Like, this is probably the hardest legendary because of the weak synergy. Now, what you do get is a ton of revives from Elder, but if you lose Elder opening blow, it's so RNG based, and I think it's like 3 or 4 turns they get each on the other team before you get your first turn, unless you had godly speed mods from your arena. Gear 12, pretty much mandatory on whatever 5 you choose. Wicket, Chirpa, and Elder are pretty much mandatory. I hear Tebow and Scout are the not great ones, which sucks because they're some of the easiest ones to get. But Paplo, I think, is the tanking one, so you definitely want to try and get him. I also think he is the one that is... I think he's the one that's guild event or guild currency only. And it's really hard to justify farming these guys. Like, that's why I rank 3PO probably the least important legendary. Padme just came out, so I did put her at the bottom of my list, but that's just because she just happened. But the team you need to unlock her is better than the Ewoks. The Ewoks, again, they're a B team at best. Gear 12 mandatory for the event, so that's a lot of gear that you don't get to throw towards, like, arenas. You maybe get to throw it towards Grand Arena, but the stronger your Ewoks, it really feels like GP inflation, honestly. Now, 3PO. 3PO is what takes CLS to be toe-to-toe with Jedi Revan and Darth Revan because of his debuffs. And less so with Darth Revan because Darth Revan can prevent debuffing, but he still is useful. But again, he takes up that slot that's ideal for a tank instead. So he is one of those characters where I'm just like, his value's not all there. Like, what you need for him is not valuable, and what he provides, he does allow Jedi training Rey, and this is something I did kind of skimp on. Rey, CLS, and Jedi Revan are all great in the raids. I know we're due for another raid sooner or later, but currently the Sith raid's the hardest one, and all 3 of those teams have a spot in there. Darth Revan's the one I don't think has a real spot right now, since it's so important that he A, takes debuffs, and B, gives debuffs. That really doesn't work with the mechanics of the Sith raid, but he can solo the tank raid for the most part. Alright, lastly, Separatists. And this is for Padme. This is the event that just ended. So, to unlock Padme, I made a guide that a lot of you disagreed with. But the easiest way to do it is to just use the 5 Separatist droids right now. Again, we know there's reworks coming for Newt and Count Dooku. I think Poggle's got one on the way too, but to be determined. So, Grievous Leader is the best, and then B2 is like key. Now, B2 is actually a pretty decent plug-and-play character. His synergy is obviously the best with Grievous. But he's actually not bad if you stick him, like, say, on a Traya or a Darth Revan team because of his just constantly mowing down people to remove buffs and inflict buff immunity. So he's actually a really good plug-and-play. So he's probably the most valuable character of the Separatists. Asajj is great for the Night Sisters, but, you know, there's nothing legendary about the Night Sisters, but they're a good, solid offensive or defensive team to have. But the Separatist droids is the best option, so B2 and Droideka are the 2 most recent farmable characters. They're both hard nodes, one ship, one regular. Grievous is the weird one because he's either in the fleet shipments or you spend shard shop currency on him. But if you look at the shard shop, he's stupid expensive. Like, that's several pieces. Like, that's almost a piece of fully crafted gear right there in terms of shards. So it's much, much better to wait for him either to roll around with the event because they gave away all separatists for crystals, and Grievous Grievous does cost the full 2k, but he's a good character. There's high speculation he's going to get a ship soon, and it kind of makes sense. So the only other downside on this is it's such a Zeta heavy team to do. You need Grievous's unique minimum. Leadership definitely helps. B2's unique also should be Zeta'd. If you're going to bring B1, who I don't recommend for Padme's event because he attacks out a turn, which gives them extra protection up. Now, it's undispellable, so it doesn't convert to courage, but of all the characters, this is the one I don't recommend bringing. But if you're going to use the Separatist Droids team, he is mandatory. Like, he's the healer. So, and then Droidica is just such an unknown. So, overall, those are all the main characters. Now, as far as ships go, there are 2 legendary ships that I forgot about, the Chimera and Han's Millennium Falcon. So, currently, Han's Falcon defines the ship meta, bar nothing. Now, unfortunately, that's a double legendary crew, and you need, I think, both or at least one of the crew to unlock. And to unlock them, you need the 4 Bounty Hunter ships, Slave 1, Xanadu Blood, IG-2000, and Houndstooth. Now, it kind of sounded like they were going to bring back more later, but at this point, these are the 4 we have, and the event's not very hard. Pretty much, as long as your Houndstooth is maxed up, because it's arena, the others can be kind of meh. Slave 1's a pretty good ship to max out, too, for your dark side ships. So Han's Falcon currently defines the meta, and at 5 stars to boot. So it's a great legendary. It's worth the investment because crystals are, again, lifeblood, and having Han's Falcon and a decent everything else pretty much guarantees you can take first in your ship arena, and you'll probably, depending on how many Falcons there are, you might only fall to like rank 10 at the end of the day. The other main one, or the other legendary ship is Chimera. This used to be the meta ship. Up until Han's Falcon, Chimera and Houndstooth was the meta, and it just came down to whose was faster and could use their Annihilate ability first. It's a nasty, nasty, nasty ship. It's only really hard countered by the Han's Falcon, and it's a really, really good defensive ship to use in Grand Arena if you have the Falcon. If you don't, it's your offensive ship. This one requires Rebel ships and the Ghost and Phantom ships specifically, and these 2 are currently like top tier meta ships, so they're absolutely worth gearing up. Same with the Phoenix characters, and then whatever Rebels you use along with that probably will just tag along with Han's Falcon. So yeah, both the ships very good. Han's Falcon is the slightly more important one. Now when to farm them is absolutely dependent on how much you value ships, because there are some people who just don't care about ships. They don't do ships, so they don't do anything. That's a bunch of crystals they're sleeping on. I prioritize ships, so for me, when I'm done farming up the Jedi or the Darth Revan characters, I'm going to finish 7-starring Xanadu and IG because I rely on the Falcon for my crystals. So I would say Falcon is very important, and again, if your shard is like mine, and a lot of people just don't really care about ships and don't feel like farming up characters that are expensive, because these are both hard node farms, like getting Han's Falcon is a really, really good way to get some easy crystals. And getting this lets me take first consistently, and just completely redoes the way I do my game, because suddenly I've got 500 crystals coming in a day from Arena. Alright everyone, I know this was definitely a long one, but I really wanted to talk about the characters, so just quick recap. If you're getting started off, CLS, and even then, I just say get CLS because of all the teams you get along the way if you use Phoenix first to unlock, if you do the Phoenix characters to unlock Thrawn and Palpatine, you then use them to unlock R2, and then R2 is mandatory for CLS. So that's the longest chain of of legendary to journey characters, but it's a very good chain. Everybody in there has value, worth it very much. After that, I would focus on getting Jedi Revan because he's just such a dominant force right now, and most of his team he needs is included in that. And then between him and the Phoenix, you'll have what you need for Yoda for the rest of that, and then you'll also have a good team for the tank raid, which is how you get General Kenobi, the last part of his team. You'll need Zetas, obviously, but I mean, all the legendary or all the journey characters, 3 out of 3 Zetas definitely recommended. After that is Jedi training Rey, who's a very good events character, especially on the Sith raid. She is really good for Phase 1 with the Finn rework, and she's the one that can solo the tank raid, which gets you the best rewards because we can't sim that yet. After that, you can then do Darth Revan. That's where I'm at right now because I've got the other 3 journey characters. I'm working on Darth Revan. Gearing up Jedi Revan and Darth Revan side characters gets you Malak, which is the current best character in the game under a Darth Revan lead. As for the remaining legendaries, get Han and Chewie if you can for CLS. 3PO, I would honestly say only if you've got all the other legendary characters, because the Ewoks really are not worth it. Like they'll surprise people, but they can still be mowed down by, like, say, General Grievous. Padme just came out. I don't know a lot about her, but I think Galactic Republic is going to turn into the meta. So you'll want to get the Separatist droids up. Justice for Grievous. Finally, he's good for something. And then, if you care about ships, get Han's Falcon, because it's the meta. Alright, everyone. I know it was a long one, but I think overall it's good information to go over, especially since I don't think we're in for any more legendary or journey characters now for a while. Thank you all for watching, and farewell.